Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Raile, and I am a first-year academic advisor in the College of Arts and Sciences. And today I'd like to talk about preparing to register for your second semester. So I can hear a lot of you out there thinking, well, what do I need to know about registering for my second semester? I successfully registered for the fall. Everything's good. What's going to change? Well, this presentation is going to point out that things have changed. There are subtle differences between how you registered in the summer versus how you're going to register for the next 3.5 years that we just want you to be aware of as registration approaches for the spring of 2022. So how have things changed? Okay, like I said, they're minor points, but they can make a big difference if you're expecting things to look like they did over the summer. Number one, you don't get to pick your registration window. Over the summer, you had a selection of 5 or 6 different registration windows and you just got to pick one. And if you didn't get around to registering in that window, you were automatically assigned to another one. It's not like that anymore. And I'll explain how that's going to be different. No more pre-registered classes. Over the summer, a lot of you were pre-registered in at least 1, sometimes 2, or maybe even more classes based on your particular situation. For the most part, that's over with. You're now kind of responsible for 100% of your schedule. So don't count on your major department pre-enrolling you in any more classes. And welcome to the world of wait lists. Some of you may have experienced wait lists this semester. A lot of you didn't because it wasn't available during the summer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to navigate your way through wait lists if you decide to do that. As always, if you have any questions, the best source of information for you about registration is your academic advisor. So please reach out with any of the questions you might have. Like it says here, we're not going to tell you what to do, but we will lay out all of the facts so that you can decide what your best choice of action is for your particular situation. All right, so number one, you don't get to pick your registration time. Your registration time assignment from this point forward is now assigned to you. It is assigned by the registrar's office and cannot be changed. Every semester I get emails from students saying, hey, I don't like that registration time. Can I change it? Nope, you can't. It's been assigned and won't be changed. However, keep in mind that it is the first time you can register. It's not like a 2-day window like you had over the summer. It's just starting on this day and this time is when you can begin to register. You don't have to register right at that moment in time. Having said that, as soon as you're eligible to register, you probably should, right? Because for every minute you're not registering, someone else is. So be aware of when you're going to first be eligible to register. Like it says here on the PowerPoint, the registration dates will be available on Buff Portal starting on Monday, October 11th, which is weird, right? We're just getting going on the fall semester and already in October, we're starting to think about spring semester. That is also the same day that the spring 2022 schedule will be published. Registration actually begins on Monday, November 1st. So there's a span of about 3 weeks there where we'll know what is going to be taught in the spring, but registration hasn't actually begun. And actually, that is really the sweet spot to set up an appointment to meet with your advisor about scheduling for the spring semester. After October 11th, we can speak very authoritatively about, oh, this is what's going to be taught. So why don't you consider taking this class? But we're still not in November, which is when things get really, really busy. So try to schedule an appointment sometime in October, and that will maximize your chances of being able to meet with your advisor in a timely manner. Now, registration begins on November 1st. However, you probably won't register on November 1st, and here's why. Registration time assignments, for the most part, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, registration times are assigned based on how many credit hours you have earned. And what that means is that on November 1st, that's when the seniors get to register, right? They're trying to graduate, they get first pick of what classes they get to choose. And then a couple of days later, the juniors will get to go. And then a couple of days later, the sophomores will get to go. And then a few days after that, the first year students get to go. So yes, as first year students, you're kind of at the end of the line, but don't worry, right? It's not as if you're going to get to your registration time and everything's full and there's nothing available. Remember, all the students who are registering before you, the seniors and the juniors and the sophomores, They took all the classes that you want a couple of years ago. So the classes that you need or the classes that you want are for the most part going to be wide open by the time we get to your registration period. Just know when your assigned registration time is. Make sure you register as close to that time as you can. Registration for first-year students will probably happen right before fall break. So hopefully you'll go home for fall break with a full schedule already set up for the spring of 2022. Like I said earlier, no more pre-registered classes. If you were a theater major, you've got 1 or 2 theater classes and kind of get you started on your fall 2021 schedule. Not anymore. Again, there's a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, you will be pre-registered for nothing. So now it's up to you to build your entire schedule for the spring of 2022 and beyond. Starting in the spring of 2022, you can now start waitlisting for classes. Now, some of you actually did start playing around with the wait lists during the open enrollment period for the fall, so you kind of experienced what that is. But waitlisting was not available to first-year students during the summer, so a lot of you may not have experienced it or know exactly how it works. So this is what a waitlist is. If a class is closed, you can put your name on the wait list and just hope that another student drops. And if another student drops and you happen to be number 1 on the wait list, you'll get enrolled into that class. Now, you want to really talk it over with your advisor. The chances of you getting into a class are dependent on a lot of different things. So you want to talk over whether it makes sense to waitlist for a class or not. Also, like it says here, be careful. Waitlists can be very beneficial, and they can also be very dangerous. They're dangerous in the sense that you have to simultaneously assume that you will not get into that class. It's a real possibility you won't get in. So ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? What if I don't get into this class? Is that okay? Do I have a full schedule even without it? What are my backup plans if I don't get in? Okay, so you have to assume you're not going to get in, but you also have to assume that you will get in. There's a certain point in time during the semester when the waitlists are frozen and you can no longer get into that class. But until that moment comes, you are always at risk of actually getting into that class. So that means you've got to attend class, do the homework, interact with the professor, assume that you will be in that class, because you don't want to wake up 2 weeks into the semester and find out that you actually got into a class that you've never attended. So again, you have to simultaneously hold those two things true at the same time, that you're not going to get in and that you will get in. All right. And here's a handy tip on how to get into a class. Now, not every class has a recitation. Those are mostly the big, large lecture classes that then have the small breakout recitations. But if a class has a recitation, you get into the class through the recitation. Okay. I've had some students tell me that, oh, well, I'm in the class, but I'm waitlisted for the recitation. Nope, false. That's not the way that works. If you're not in the recitation, then you're not in the class. But it's very, very possible that a class has a recitation or two that is completely closed, but it's still open. So how can a class be open even though some of the recitations are closed? We'll take a look at this example right here. We're looking at Underwater Basket Weaving 1001. The lecture is section 100 and it's open. It does have some seats available. But if you decided to get into section 101, which is one of the recitations, that's closed. And so you would be waitlisted for recitation 101, and therefore you would be waitlisted for the class. You are not in the class. Same thing with 102. It's closed. You're not in the class. But if you take a look, 103 still has some seats available, and that's where all the seats are for underwater basket weaving. So if you really want this class, no problem. All you have to do is get yourself into section 103, and just like that, you're in the class, as opposed to other students who are waitlisted for sections 101 or 102. If you have any further questions, please contact your academic advisor. You can set up your appointment anytime at Buff Portal Advising. And like I said, October is a really sweet spot to come in and talk about registration for the spring, but we're here every day. So feel free to set up an appointment whenever you want, and hope to see you soon. Thanks for your time and attention.